Hello and welcome back to the Hygge Academy. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about combat mechanics. I hope you have seen the previous movie where we delved into the basic of combat mechanics. We talked about attacks, defense, breakthrough, and those kind of values. The thing I hope you take with you from that movie and from the mechanics of the game is the thing that when your attacks surpass the defender's defense or the attacker's breakthrough, your attacks deal 4 times the damage compared to that damage that are under the breakthrough and defense value. It's really important to have that with you in all times of this game. It will make your templates and your gameplay much better. With that said, today I'm planning to look on other stuff with the templates and with the combat mechanics in the game. One really important thing to know about is the combat width of your units and the combat width of the territories that you are attacking and defending in, that you're in your theater. Is there a lot of plains, forest, is it mountainous? Where are you fighting and how can you use that to your advantage? So combat width usually for attacking divisions in the mod we're playing in HOI4, the finest bro. It should be 30 width or perhaps 20 width for defending divisions or divisions in special tiles like defending and attacking in forest. Could be better to have 20 width divisions. To see how much width you can have in one terrain type, you can always go to the terrain type, just click on a province. We see we have plains here. It has a standard combat width of 120 and gets additional 60 combat width for each tile you're attacking from. So if you go from 2 tiles attacking this plains, you will get 60 extra combat width, like 2 units if you go with 30 widths. 1 more and you can get 2 more units going into that province. And that we talked a little bit on that topic last time. It's important to attack from as many provinces as possible so you can overwhelm the defenses with your superior, not only units, but your superior combat width and units engaged in that fight. So you can always check the terrain type, see what combat width do we have here. Should I design my templates according to that? As you see here in forest, we have a combat width of 100 and additional attacks 40, so a combat width of 20 would be ideal in that case for a number of reasons, but not always, and you're always attacking in different tiles. So 30 combat width for attack, 20 for defense is like a standard thing to think about. Next thing I want to go into is the HP of the units. As we talked about in the previous video, your attacks will make organizational damage on the defending unit, and it will also make HP damage. The HP, the hit points, represents how much manpower and how much equipment you will be losing every time you are hit and you are losing HP. So the more HP, the less you will lose for each hit you get on your unit. It's not the most important value, but it is important. The thing that makes it less important is that in multiplayer you usually go for the surrounds of the enemy troops and you annihilate them. So when you wipe the troops, the HP doesn't matter because it's when the organization is 0, the troop is gone because they have no organization left. So HP, it is important, but not that important. One of the most important things is when you're designing tanks, so you don't go too low on the HP. A low HP will make your unit suffer a lot of damage and a lot of cost will go away, especially encountering casts that will bomb them away. Next thing I want to talk about is speed. A really important thing in Hearts of Iron, especially when you're playing multiplayer, is to outmaneuver the opponents. As in the game, as in the Second World War, it was a war of maneuver with the Blitzkrieg, with the tank engagements in France and in the Soviet Union. You need to outmaneuver your opponent, and having a lot of speed will help you with that. Ordinary troops don't have that much speed, but as soon as you go into tanks or motorized, you will have a lot of more speed, which makes your surrounds go quicker. The reaction time will be lower for the opponent, and your success rate will be higher. So really, really look at speed when you're designing, especially when you get your micro in order and you really can handle the fastness of your units. Next thing I want to talk a little bit about is initiative. Initiative is really important because it works uh, for one part in giving you a better tactic than the opponent. You will reinforce quicker, but it also affects your coordination. Coordination is a value you won't see in your division designer, but it gives your units the opportunity to focus their attacks on fewer opponents. As you've seen before, might attack with 7 units and they will defend with 7 units. The more initiative and the more coordination you have, the more your 7 units will focus their attacks on fewer units of the opponent. Going back to this, you want to go over the margins. So when you focus your attack, you will have more damage dealing 4-time damage because it's over the defense or breakthrough value of your opponent. You will hit harder, they will lose organization, you will punch through. So initiative is a really, really important value. In their finest pro, just add a signal company and you will get that way up. Signal companies cost a bit, but I would say it's usually worth it, especially when you have attacking units. You really want to have the coordination up as high as possible. The last thing I want to talk a little bit about is supply. Supply of your units are really, really important. There are things to bring them down, like the logistics company, but you really need to analyze where am I fighting and how's the supply where I'm fighting. If you're gonna defend the home islands, yeah, you will have supply that won't be a problem for the UK. If you want to go down to the Burma line and see if for Raj, you have supply of perhaps 4 remaining in that spot. You have supply problems here a little bit. So you really need to see how much supply do I have, how much supply can I use for my units. So going in the Burma line, fighting in Africa, where supply are scarce, especially in the beginning of the game, and if you haven't built supply depots and other stuff, you really need to manage your supply. Eastern Front is a perfect example where you can be supply blocked by the enemy. They take your supply hub. You have too much units because there's too much going on, and you will get a lot of debuffs from the supply that ain't getting through because you have too much units in the same spot. Lastly, I just want to mention Hardness. Hardness is an extremely important value. We'll have a tank mechanics coming up, but you really need to take this in consideration. Early game hardness is seldom over 50%, so you can still use soft attack to really punch through and even damage the tanks with soft attack. As soon as the tanks are going over to mechanized infantry, you see this hardness value goes up quite a lot. We're up to 62% now. We can continue going up with the mechanized infantry, going up to 72%. If you have a good tank with high armor, high hardness, and your own army is infantry based and focused on soft attack only, you will have a really hard time taking down these kind of tanks. If you look on this, standard infantry has just 72 hard attack and 400 in soft attack. This tank will be really, really effective against that. Because how it works is pretty easy. It says it in the tooltip. You will get less soft attack taken. So with 72% hardness, 73% is some roundness there. Your soft attack taken will only be 27%. So you will lose 3/4 of the soft attack incoming, and the soft attack incoming will probably be lower than your breakthrough. You will get even less damage, and perhaps armor will play a part of it, and the damage will be even lower. So when you're playing, when you're going to the later stages of the game, people are beginning to mechanize, you need to be prepared for the mechanization, going more AT heavy or make your own tanks to be able to take them out. So with that said, this is it for this time. Subscribe, please follow us, and we will be up with more movies and videos about the game coming up in the next few weeks.